Welcome to our channel, a place dedicated not only to mastering English, but also to cultivating profound wisdom, accelerating personal growth, and unlocking your true potential in life. Today, we delve into a profound topic often overlooked by the masses, yet quietly embraced by the most successful individuals every single day. Allow me to pose a question. Have you ever observed why truly successful people tend to speak less? They don't engage in every argument. They rarely feel the need to justify themselves to everyone they meet. They certainly don't react impulsively to every slight or insult. Why is this so? Because they grasp a fundamental truth. Words, once uttered, can never be fully retracted. You might offer an apology or attempt to explain your position, but the damage, once inflicted, has already been done. Indeed, a person may eventually forget a compliment, but they will almost never forget an insult. Silence, therefore, is not a sign of weakness. It is, in fact, an ultimate form of protection. It embodies power. It signifies preparation. The individual who chooses to speak less inherently listens more. And the person who listens more inevitably learns more. Consequently, when you learn more, your growth accelerates exponentially. Remember this profound distinction. Wise individuals speak because they genuinely have something meaningful to convey. Fools, on the other hand, speak simply because they feel compelled to say something. This video isn't about promoting shyness or encouraging introversion. Instead, its purpose is to guide you toward becoming wise, calm, self-controlled, and even formidable, all while remaining silent. When you consciously choose to speak less, you are actively safeguarding your precious energy, meticulously preserving your image, maintaining unwavering focus, and fortifying the clarity of your mind. By the end of this journey, you will uncover the hidden power of silence, fully appreciate the myriad benefits of maintaining composure, learn how to wield silence as a potent tool to triumph in life's challenges, and ultimately, achieve profound mastery over your own mind. This video promises not only to inspire you, but also to significantly enhance your English proficiency, expand your vocabulary, and refine your manner of speaking and thinking. So, commit to watching until the very end, for this video truly has the potential to transform your entire life. Benefit 1. You stay ahead of your competitors. When you cultivate the habit of speaking less, you strategically refrain from prematurely revealing your intricate plans. You don't broadcast to the world what monumental projects you are meticulously constructing. You resist the urge to share every nascent idea, every cherished dream, or every strategic move you intend to make. Instead, you operate with purposeful discretion, moving in profound silence. You allow your undeniable success, when it manifests, to generate all the necessary noise. Let me illustrate this with a powerful example. There once was a young man with an ambitious dream to launch his own business. His friends, almost unanimously, scoffed, saying, "You can't possibly do it. You lack the knowledge and experience." He chose not to argue, nor did he feel compelled to defend his aspirations. He simply offered a quiet smile and diligently worked in solitude. While others were preoccupied with ostentatiously displaying their lives on social media, he was immersed in reading, acquiring invaluable skills, and toiling late into the nights. They continued to mock him. 1 year later, their laughter turned to utter shock. He had successfully built a thriving, profitable business. And when they finally mustered the courage to ask, "How did you possibly achieve this?" he calmly replied, "I was busy working quietly, while you were all busy talking loudly." Silence kept him laser-focused on his objectives. Silence diligently protected his vital energy from external distractions and doubts. And silence bestowed upon him the ultimate strategic advantage, the element of surprise. Therefore, always remember this critical insight. A person who operates in silence consistently progresses further because they never squander precious time attempting to prove their worth to others. Benefit 2. You understand people's intentions clearly. When you embrace silence, you inherently create an invaluable space, an opportunity for others to truly speak their minds. And in doing so, as they articulate their thoughts, they unwittingly reveal their authentic selves. You begin to perceive the profound truth that often lies beneath their carefully chosen words. You become adept at discerning who might be fabricating, who harbors insecurities, who is attempting to subtly manipulate, and crucially, who possesses genuine sincerity. This is because people invariably expose their true nature when they overindulge in conversation. Consider a powerful real-world scenario. Imagine yourself within a lively group of friends. Everyone is immersed in boisterous laughter, casual joking, and loud conversation. But you are simply sitting quietly, observing with heightened awareness. Suddenly, a pattern emerges. You notice one individual consistently speaking ill of others. Another persistently brags about their wealth. Yet another frequently interjects with small, subtly hurtful jokes. Because you have chosen silence, you perceive every detail with crystal clarity. They, however, do not perceive your internal process. They might even mistakenly believe you lack intelligence. Yet within the quiet sanctuary of your mind, you have already gleaned profound understanding about each of them. You have already made crucial internal decisions. This person I can trust. That one I absolutely cannot. This, precisely, is the unparalleled power of silence. The sharper and more astute you become, the less you will feel the need to speak. This is because you are no longer listening merely to formulate a reply, but rather to truly understand the deeper essence of what is being conveyed. In business negotiations, in intimate relationships, and throughout daily life, the silent observer consistently emerges victorious because silence grants you the invaluable mental space required to think with absolute clarity. It bestows upon you the formidable power to make decisions with profound wisdom. Benefit 3. The first one to speak loses. In the grand game of life, silence is not merely a state of peace. It is a meticulously crafted strategy. And one of the most potent, universally applicable rules in high-stakes business negotiation, leadership, and even everyday interactions is this: the first one to speak often loses. Why is this so? Because when you are the first to break the silence, you immediately lay bare your thoughts, your desires, and your vulnerabilities. You metaphorically show your hand, thereby relinquishing a crucial measure of power to the other party. However, when you deliberately maintain silence, you subtly shift the dynamic, making the other person increasingly uncomfortable. You compel them to guess your intentions, creating an undercurrent of nervousness and unease that works to your advantage. Let me provide a compelling example. There was a man attending a job interview at a prominent corporation. The interviewer, attempting to set the terms, stated, "We're prepared to offer you $70,000 per year. How does that sound?" The man offered no immediate reply. He simply held a gentle smile and remained profoundly silent. 10 agonizing seconds passed, then 15 seconds. The silence in the room became almost unbearable, thick with unspoken tension. Finally, the interviewer broke, speaking again. "All right, let me consult with HR. Perhaps we can offer $80,000, boom." Without uttering a single word, he had successfully negotiated an additional $10,000 simply by embracing the power of silence. This isn't merely a clever trick. It is a demonstration of pure power. In virtually every high-level negotiation, be it in the cutthroat world of business or the intricate arena of politics, the individual who speaks first very often concedes control of the situation. Now let's turn our attention to a figure you likely recognize: Jack Ma, the visionary founder of Alibaba. After meticulously building one of China's largest and most influential companies, Jack Ma became exceedingly powerful, exceptionally outspoken, and globally famous. He began granting numerous interviews, publicly speaking out against powerful institutions and established norms. Then one day, he mysteriously vanished. For many months, his whereabouts remained unknown, shrouded in secrecy. It was during this period that people collectively realized a profound truth. In certain intricate games, silence is not merely powerful, it is absolutely essential for sheer survival. When he eventually reappeared, he was noticeably different. He had learned through stark experience that speaking too much, too loudly, can, at times, put you in grave danger. So, internalize this wisdom. The strongest individual in the room is frequently the quietest. Do not rush to speak. Do not desperately strive to impress. Do not perpetually feel the need to explain yourself. Instead, cultivate silence, for silence is the steadfast guardian that keeps the power firmly within your grasp. Benefit 4. You can focus in times of danger. When danger inevitably rears its head, the typical human response is panic. Most people scream, they run, they speak without thinking, and they act without a shred of clarity. However, the person who steadfastly maintains silence is the one who thinks. And the person who thinks clearly in moments of crisis is invariably the one who survives. Allow me to recount a true and gripping story. There was a soldier, isolated and trapped deep within enemy territory. His entire team was gone, his radio communications broken. It was night, and he was utterly alone. All around him, enemy soldiers patrolled, their weapons poised. The smallest sound, a faint rustle, and his life would be instantly forfeit. What did he do in this extreme peril? He embraced absolute silence. He meticulously slowed his breathing, ceased all movement, and didn't even allow a whisper of thought in his own mind. He became one with the pervasive silence. For 6 harrowing hours, he waited, utterly still. Then, when the timing was precisely right, he made his escape. Later, in an interview, he unequivocally stated, "Silence saved my life. Had I moved or even whispered, I would not be here today." While you may not find yourself on a battlefield, in the theater of life, danger assumes myriad forms. It could be a volatile argument erupting at work, a sudden and critical problem in your business, a deeply painful situation within a relationship, or even a moment when you feel on the brink of losing all control. In those critical moments, you are presented with 2 distinct choices: to react impulsively and quickly, or to remain steadfastly silent. The individual who reacts emotionally is prone to making egregious mistakes. But the individual who maintains silence perceives everything with unwavering clarity. Silence bestows upon you the gift of time. Time, in turn, grants you invaluable clarity. And clarity ultimately delivers undeniable power. Even in the intricate tapestry of nature, it is invariably the silent hunter who prevails. The lion does not roar a warning before it attacks. The eagle does not scream before it strikes. They remain perfectly quiet. They focus intensely. And then, they strike with deadly precision. So the next time life thrusts you into a perilous situation, do not speak, do not react, do not panic. Simply be silent, be still. Allow your mind the calm space to discern the path forward, for in moments of danger, silence is your sharpest sword. Benefit 5. Silence builds strength. In a world relentlessly saturated with incessant noise, silence is far from being an empty void. On the contrary, it is a rigorous form of training. It is the arduous process of building. It is the profound journey toward becoming utterly unshakable. Silence does not imply idleness. Rather, it signifies that you are engaged in an endeavor so profoundly powerful, so deeply internal, that it remains entirely unseen by others. Allow me to transport you to a world that profoundly grasped this power. The ancient monks of India. Among them was Siddhartha Gautama, who would later become the Buddha. Before his enlightenment, he was a prince, surrounded by immense riches, power, and lavish luxury. Yet an ineffable emptiness persisted within him. Consequently, he relinquished everything he knew and wholeheartedly embraced a world of silence. He journeyed alone through dense forests. He sat beneath a tree for days on end, neither speaking, nor eating, nor moving, nor complaining. He simply observed his thoughts, focused on his breathing, and steadily transformed into something far greater than his former self. And in that profound silence, he discovered his awakening. He once famously declared, "Silence is the language of the awakened." This means that when you cease external chatter, you begin to truly hear the whispers of your own soul. You start to discern what genuinely matters in the grand scheme of your existence. Now let's anchor this ancient wisdom in our contemporary world. Everywhere you look, people are constantly posting, talking, shouting, and complaining. Yet the strongest individuals, the most resilient among us, are strikingly silent. They aren't striving to prove anything. They aren't attempting to impress anyone. Instead, they are diligently building themselves in the shadows, much like a dedicated boxer in rigorous training. No one observes his early morning runs at 5 a.m. No one sees him relentlessly punching the heavy bag late into the night. He doesn't post stories. He doesn't shout his efforts from the rooftops. And then one day, he steps into the ring, and the world collectively asks, where did he come from? He emerged from silence. That is the transformative power of silence. It meticulously builds you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It forges unyielding discipline, cultivates immense patience, owns emotional control, sharpens mental focus, and, most importantly, ignites an unassailable inner power. Even in fictional narratives like Peaky Blinders, you witness how Tommy Shelby, the formidable leader, rarely reacts impetuously. He listens intently, he watches discerningly, and he enters a room saying very little. Yet every word he does utter strikes with the force of a bullet, because everyone knows, the quietest man in the room is often the most dangerous. This isn't mere fiction, it is a profound reflection of real power. So, I ask you, are you inadvertently squandering your inherent strength by indulging in excessive chatter? Or are you meticulously cultivating and building your formidable power in silence? Because silence is not weakness. Silence is the fertile ground where legends are born. Benefit 6. Silence helps you negotiate. Negotiation is fundamentally not a mere game of words. It is an intricate dance of patience, a strategic deployment of energy, and an absolute mastery of control. And in this demanding game, the individual who wields silence skillfully almost invariably emerges victorious. Why? Because when you maintain silence, you steadfastly refuse to display any hint of desperation. You cleverly withhold your weaknesses, ensuring they remain unrevealed. You prevent unruly emotions from seizing control of the deal. Instead, you cultivate an aura of captivating mystery. You subtly generate psychological pressure. And crucially, you dictate the tempo and rhythm of the entire exchange. Let us examine a potent historical example. Nelson Mandela. He endured an astonishing 27 years incarcerated in prison. Most individuals emerging from such an ordeal would be irrevocably broken, weak, consumed by anger, and utterly lost. Yet when Mandela walked out of that prison, he did not shout. He did not vehemently demand immediate revenge. He remained profoundly calm. He remained utterly silent. And when the pivotal time came to negotiate with the very leaders who had once imprisoned him, he did not argue. He did not raise his voice in protest. He listened with unwavering attention. And when he eventually chose to speak, the deliberate silence he allowed before each word held the room in an almost palpable freeze. People could viscerally sense that this man was not speaking from a place of ego or wounded pride, but from an undeniable wellspring of formidable inner strength. And what was the magnificent outcome? He not only secured freedom for himself, but liberated an entire nation. That, unequivocally, is the transformative power of silence in negotiation. Now let's translate this to the realm of business. Imagine two astute businessmen seated across a negotiating table. One incessantly talks. I desperately want this deal. I'll offer you 20% cash back. I can even sweeten the offer. Let's finalize it today. The other, however, sits serenely, quietly listening, meticulously observing every nuance. Then he utters just a single, impactful line. "I believe you're significantly underestimating our true value." And then he retreats into silence once more. The atmosphere in the room immediately becomes taut with tension. The first businessman begins to visibly panic, his mind racing, utterly clueless about what his silent counterpart is contemplating. That profound silence, that deliberate pause, that unsettling stillness, it generates immense pressure. It often compels the other side to buckle, to fold, to reconsider their position. Because in the intricate art of negotiation, the person who speaks less invariably wins more. And always remember this: when you consciously choose to stay silent, you grant the other person the opportunity to inadvertently show their hand. You listen not with the intent to immediately reply, but to deeply understand their genuine motivations and true intentions. And sometimes, your strategic silence actually forces them to enter into a negotiation with themselves. They begin to reevaluate and modify their own offers, all while you simply sit, observe, and maintain control. That, my friends, is genuine control. That is precisely how the world's most exceptional leaders, visionary CEOs, astute politicians, and formidable warriors achieve victory. They do not shout, they do not beg, they do not rush into action. They sit, they breathe, and they allow silence to meticulously perform its powerful work. Benefit 7. You will know yourself better. A significant portion of humanity today lives as strangers to themselves. They possess more intimate knowledge of their smartphones than they do of their own hearts. They can readily recall their favorite celebrity's birthday, yet they remain utterly clueless as to why they feel a pervasive sadness, why anxiety frequently grips them, or why an unsettling emptiness persists even after achieving success, attending lavish parties, or accumulating vast sums of money. Do you know why this profound disconnect exists? Because the world has become overwhelmingly loud. We are relentlessly engulfed by an incessant cacophony of noise, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, social media feeds, endless streams of opinions, constant arguments, breaking news alerts, a barrage of messages, incessant notifications, the gnawing fear of missing out, and relentless societal pressures. All this noise serves to bury your authentic voice, rendering it inaudible. But here lies the simple yet profound truth. The precise moment you embrace silence, you begin to truly meet yourself. Silence is the singular sanctuary where you can authentically confront your inner landscape. In this quietude, you start to hear your own thoughts with startling clarity. Initially, it can be deeply uncomfortable. You sit alone and your mind, unaccustomed to quiet, begins to loudly interrogate. Why did I fail? Why am I perpetually unhappy? Why do I feel this persistent emptiness? Am I truly good enough? What do I genuinely desire from life? Most individuals recoil from these raw, unsettling thoughts. They quickly resort to distractions, turning on music, scrolling through Instagram, or calling someone to fill the void. But the strong ones, the truly brave ones, they choose to sit steadfastly with their silence. And within that profound silence, they courageously confront their internal darkness, their gnawing doubts, and their deepest fears. And slowly, steadily, they begin to unravel and truly understand who they intrinsically are. Let me offer a powerful real-world reflection. There was once a man who tirelessly traversed the globe, relentlessly searching for happiness. He attended countless parties, purchased luxurious cars, visited ancient temples, and sought wisdom from renowned gurus. Yet despite all these external pursuits, he still felt an undeniable emptiness. Then one day, he deliberately sequestered himself in a small rustic cabin nestled deep in the mountains. No phone, no books, no people, just absolute silence. The first day, he succumbed to panic. The second day, he wept uncontrollably. But by the third day, he began to perceive something entirely new. Not a voice from the outside world, but a distinct, resonant voice emanating from deep within. He meticulously recorded in his journal, I have finally met someone I had utterly ignored all my life. Me. That is the transformative power of silence. It introduces you to the single most important person in your life, yourself. You begin to clearly discern what you genuinely desire, what deep wounds you have been meticulously hiding, what long-forgotten dreams still reside within, what destructive habits are slowly eroding your spirit, and what core values are truly guiding your existence. It's not a complex therapy session. It's not some mystical magic. It is simply, profoundly, silence. You commence the vital process of separating what the world relentlessly told you to be from what you were authentically born to be. In the pure realm of silence, there is no judgment, no external pressure, no distracting noise, only unadulterated truth. And the fundamental truth is this: you cannot truly grow until you genuinely know who you are. You cannot heal your deepest wounds until you bravely face what truly hurts. And you cannot meticulously build a meaningful future until you have respectfully sat with your past. So, bestow upon yourself the invaluable gift of silence, not for the world to see, but for the profound nourishment and awakening of your own soul. For the most powerful and enduring transformation always begins from within. Benefit 8. Silence gets people's attention. We currently inhabit a world where everyone is perpetually screaming for attention. Look at me, they cry. Buy from me, listen to me, follow me, notice me. People post updates every hour, engage in conversation every minute, and react to stimuli every second. Yet here's the counterintuitive truth. The more noise you generate, the less people genuinely hear you. This is because when everyone is shouting at the top of their lungs, no one can truly stand out from the deafening clamor. But now imagine this scenario: a room teeming with loud, vociferous voices, and then a single person quietly walks in. They don't speak a word. They don't rush or draw attention to themselves. They simply sit down calmly, observing their surroundings, patiently waiting. Every head in the room invariably turns. People begin to wonder, who is that person? Why are they so unusually quiet? They must possess some insight or knowledge that we don't. That, my friends, is attention garnered without a single ounce of effort. That is the magnetic kind of presence that silence bestows upon you. Allow me to share a striking example. Have you ever heard of Julius Yego from Kenya? He was an aspiring javelin thrower who, remarkably, had no coach, no formal support system, and no initial spotlight on his talents. While his competitors were vocally boasting about their rigorous training regimens, Julius remained profoundly silent, meticulously training himself by exclusively watching YouTube videos. People openly ridiculed him, asserting, "You'll never make it. You absolutely need a real coach." He offered no reply. He didn't engage in a futile argument. He simply continued to work diligently, in silence. And then, at the 2015 World Championships, he launched his javelin an astounding 92.72 meters. The entire stadium was stunned into disbelief. Commentators were rendered speechless. He had just become the world champion, having trained himself through YouTube and, crucially, through the power of silence. The world's cameras instantly pivoted, focusing solely on him. And when they finally asked, "How did you possibly achieve this extraordinary feat?" he simply stated, "I let my performance speak for me." That precisely is power. That is how silence commands and wins attention. You don't need to speak loudly. You don't need to exhaust yourself explaining your every move to everyone. Instead, let your silence meticulously construct an aura of mystery. Let your undeniable results create all the necessary noise. Even in your personal life, observe this phenomenon. The individuals who talk excessively about what they intend to do rarely follow through. But the quiet one, the one who disappears from the public eye for months, only to return with tangible success, that is the person everyone genuinely respects. That is the individual who effortlessly commands attention without ever having to explicitly ask for it. Because silence is not absence. Silence is potent presence. It subtly communicates, I don't need to prove myself to anyone. I am inherently enough. In every room you enter, you do not need to be the loudest voice. You simply need to be the most centered, the most calm, and the most silently present, because the world inherently listens more intently when you choose to speak less. Benefit 9. Silence builds trust. Trust is not meticulously built by speaking more words. Rather, trust is forged by speaking less, yet imbuing those fewer words with profound meaning and sincerity. In a world where individuals often say anything to impress and everything to manipulate, silence emerges as your purest form of truth. This is because silence powerfully demonstrates that you are truly listening. It shows that you thoughtfully consider your words before uttering them. You do not rush to judgment. You do not engage in petty gossip. You would never betray the sanctity of private conversations. Let me pose a question. When something deeply emotional and significant transpires in your life, to whom do you instinctively turn? Is it the friend who incessantly talks, offering unsolicited advice and filling every silence? Or is it the friend who simply sits quietly with you, perhaps gently holding your hand, nodding empathetically, and listening with their eyes, offering nothing but their steadfast presence? It is invariably the latter friend whom you trust implicitly, because they do not need to articulate much. Their mere presence speaks volumes. Consider the remarkable story of Kalpana Chawla, the pioneering Indian-American astronaut. During her rigorous training, she was renowned for a rare and invaluable quality. While other astronaut candidates were busily chattering about their extensive knowledge, eager to demonstrate their intelligence, Kalpana consistently chose silence. She listened intently. She absorbed every piece of information. She practiced diligently. One of her instructors once noted, when she finally spoke, people literally stopped and listened, because her sustained silence had already earned their profound respect. That precisely is the kind of silence that meticulously builds unwavering trust. People begin to observe and internally conclude, if she's quiet, she must be serious. If he's not talking, he must be deeply thinking. He doesn't engage in backbiting or gossip. She doesn't speak without a clear, meaningful purpose. When your silence consciously transforms into your strength, your very character effectively becomes your most compelling voice. And in the competitive arenas of business, the challenging roles of leadership, the cherished bonds of friendship, and the deepest expressions of love, nothing, absolutely nothing, is more profoundly valuable than trust. People inherently distrust those who talk excessively because deep down, we all intuitively know, the louder the words, the weaker the truth often concealed within them. But when you choose to speak less, and your carefully chosen words carry genuine weight and substance, people not only listen, they believe, they follow. Even within the disciplined ranks of the military, the most revered leaders are not necessarily the ones who shout the loudest commands. And when they do speak, everyone listens with unwavering attention. Why? Because trust is not constructed by sheer volume. It is meticulously built by unassailable integrity. And nothing, truly nothing, safeguards your integrity more effectively than the strategic power of silence. So the next time you feel that compelling urge to talk too much, to overly explain yourself, or to desperately prove a point, simply pause. Take a deep, deliberate breath. And remember this profound truth. Your silence can, indeed, be far louder and more impactful than any speech. Benefit 10. Silence builds great relationships. If your aspiration is to cultivate strong, deep, and truly beautiful relationships, silence is not merely helpful. It is an absolutely essential ingredient. In the tender realm of love, the enduring commitment of marriage, the cherished bonds of friendship, and the intricate dynamics of family, the most profound connections are not forged through constant conversation. Rather, they are meticulously built by understanding precisely when to embrace silence. When a loved one is weeping, they often don't need a torrent of advice. What they truly need is your quiet, comforting presence. When someone is consumed by anger, they don't require your reactive arguments. They need the space that silence provides. When an individual is bravely sharing their deepest truth, they don't seek your immediate judgment. They yearn for the non-judgmental embrace of silence. Let me share a real-life example that will resonate with you forever. There was an elderly couple, married for an extraordinary 53 years. One day, a young, curious man inquired, "What is your secret? How did you manage to stay so deeply in love for such an incredibly long time?" The old man smiled gently and responded with profound simplicity. "Because I never tried to win every argument. I learned to stay silent, even when I knew deep down I was right." That single sentence is a veritable masterclass in the enduring art of love. In every relationship, there will inevitably come a moment when you feel an overwhelming urge to shout, to prove your point, to engage in a bitter fight. But if you possess the wisdom to remain calm, to steadfastly choose silence, you protect something far larger and more valuable than your transient ego. You protect the sacred relationship itself. Observe nature for a moment. Even the moon and the vast ocean share an intimate relationship. The moon does not speak. The ocean does not argue. Yet they move together, silently, powerfully, endlessly intertwined. That precisely is what a real, profound connection looks like. And always remember this truth. In genuine love, you don't need to meticulously explain everything. Sometimes, your silence profoundly communicates, "I understand you." Sometimes, your silence tenderly conveys, "I forgive you." And sometimes, your silence simply assures, "I'm still here for you always." We often mistakenly believe that love is predominantly about spoken words. "I love you," "I miss you," "I'm sorry." However, the most powerful and transformative love is often felt most intensely in those quiet, shared moments when no words are needed at all. In friendship, too, the deepest bonds are often characterized by the ability of best friends to sit together in silence for hours, yet still feel completely connected and understood. This is because silence signifies, "I don't need to fill every space with chatter to feel close to you. I don't need to impress you with my words. I am utterly at peace in your presence." That truly is profound intimacy, a bond shared even between parents and children, where unspoken understanding often transcends all verbal communication. Sometimes, the deepest connection isn't found in advice or incessant chatter, but simply in sharing space. Perhaps sitting together in a quiet kitchen, sipping tea in comfortable silence, and feeling an undeniable sense of safety. Therefore, if you aspire to cultivate truly meaningful relationships, begin by listening more intently, speaking less, striving for deeper understanding, reacting with less impulsivity, and taking more intentional pauses. When you do choose to speak, let your words be infused with kindness, carry genuine meaning, and reflect your full presence. For it is the individual who truly comprehends the power of silence who also understands how to love profoundly. Now that you've glimpsed the transformative benefits of embracing silence, you might be pondering, how can I integrate this powerful practice into my own life? Rest assured, the journey is simpler than you think. I'm about to unveil 5 straightforward yet profoundly effective steps designed to help you master the art of silence and, in doing so, transform your life from the inside out. Step 1. Pause before you speak. Remember this profound truth. Control is power. The mastery of silence isn't about maintaining absolute quiet throughout your entire day. It begins with cultivating one singular powerful habit, the intentional pause before you utter a single word. Pause. Take a breath before you rush to reply. Pause. Allow a moment before you instinctively react. That brief interlude, even if it's just 2 precious seconds, holds the potential to safeguard your life, protect your career, preserve your relationships, and conserve your invaluable energy. Let's consider a very real and highly relatable scenario. You find yourself embroiled in an argument. Someone hurls a hurtful remark in your direction. Instantly, your mind screams, reply, defend yourself, lash out with a comeback. But instead, you make a conscious choice to pause. You draw a deep breath. And in that brief, sacred silence, you pose two critical questions to yourself. Is this truly worth my energy? Will my immediate reply genuinely help the situation, or will it only cause further harm? That singular pause changes everything. You retain your composure. You avoid uttering words you'll undoubtedly come to regret. You prevent the destruction of the trust and connection you've meticulously built. In that moment, you become the true master of your own emotions. Now reflect on a figure like Barack Obama. Have you ever observed the deliberate rhythm of his speech? He frequently incorporates a distinct pause before each sentence. He never appears rushed. He doesn't resort to shouting or raising his voice. Instead, he contemplates deeply, processes his thoughts, and then articulates his response with calm assurance. This measured approach is precisely why people place their trust in him. It's why every word he speaks carries such immense weight, because he respects the profound silence that exists between his words. You can adopt this very same strategy. The next time someone makes a rude comment or attempts to provoke you, simply pause. Resist the urge to respond immediately. Look them calmly in the eyes. Offer a soft, subtle smile. Say nothing. Allow the profound impact of your silence to speak far louder than any verbal retort ever could. For the person who possesses the ability to pause is ultimately the person who can command control over any situation. Step 2. Spend time alone. Meet yourself in the silence. The second crucial step to truly mastering silence is this. Consciously choose to be alone. Be still. Be silent. And don't just do this for a fleeting few minutes. Embed it as a consistent daily habit. Wake up a little earlier than usual. Seek out a quiet, undisturbed corner of your home or a peaceful spot outdoors. Intentionally leave your phone and other distractions far away. Close your eyes and simply be in silence. Initially, your mind will likely rebel. It will protest. This is boring. Nothing is happening. Check your phone. But resist that urge. Don't move, because in that profound stillness, you will gradually begin to encounter someone incredibly important. Yourself. You'll start to discern your thoughts, recognize your behavioral patterns, rediscover your dormant dreams, and acknowledge your underlying fears. You will begin to hear your authentic inner voice once more, the very voice that the clamor and demands of the world might have caused you to forget. Let me offer you a powerful historical example. Steve Jobs, the visionary co-founder of Apple, was a genius, not merely in the realm of technology, but in his unique way of thinking. Do you know what his most guarded secret was? Silence. He once famously remarked, "I take walks in silence because that's when I can hear my best ideas." He would embark on long, solitary walks. No music, no conversations, just the pure quietude of silence and the embrace of nature. And it was during these profound walks that he uncovered the groundbreaking ideas that ultimately built Apple into the global powerhouse it became. This wasn't magic. It was simply the immense power of granting your mind the necessary space to think, to create, to innovate. You see, silence is never truly empty. Silence is, in fact, a room brimming with answers, patiently awaiting your arrival. But you can only truly enter that sacred space when you are alone, free from distractions, unburdened by external noise. So, grant yourself this invaluable gift every single day. Just 10 minutes of pure silence, no phone, no music, no talking. And you will begin to experience profound shifts, greater clarity, enhanced control over your inner world, a deeper sense of peace, and an undeniable surge of inner strength. Because silence isn't merely an external state, it fundamentally begins within you. Step 3. Speak less. Let your actions make the noise. Observe the world around you today. Everyone is talking. I'm going to do this. I'm planning that big project. I'll start tomorrow. I'm working on something truly significant. Yet, tragically, 90% of these declarations never materialize into actual deeds. Now, consider the individuals you admire most, the ones who command genuine respect. You'll often find they don't talk much at all. They operate in quiet solitude. They seem to disappear from the spotlight, only to re-emerge later with undeniable, tangible results. Allow me to share an example, one that profoundly impacted the world of sports. Michael Jordan. Before he ascended to legendary status, he was just a slender young boy from North Carolina. In high school, he was famously cut from his basketball team. He wept, he was heartbroken. But what did he not do? He didn't argue with the coach. He didn't air his grievances online. He didn't beg for a second chance. Instead, he went silent. He made a resolute decision. I'll show them. But not with words, with relentless work. Every single morning, before the sun even dared to rise, he was on the court. While others were still deep in slumber, he was meticulously practicing jump shots. While others were talking about their aspirations, he was diligently building his body, honing his skills. There was no attention-seeking, no cameras, no external noise, just pure silence and the sound of his own sweat hitting the floor. And when he eventually returned, he didn't just make the team. He became its undisputed best player. But he didn't stop there. He went on to become a 6-time NBA champion, a 5-time MVP, and earned the title that millions worldwide now revere. The GOAT, the greatest of all time. How did he achieve such unparalleled greatness? By mastering silence. He allowed his game to speak for itself. He let his staggering results scream his achievements. He forged a legacy without ever needing to explain himself to anyone. As Michael Jordan himself once wisely stated, "I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." That, my friends, is the profound power of silence. You don't need to loudly announce your grand dreams. You don't require external applause. You don't chase fleeting attention. Instead, you relentlessly pursue greatness. And when that greatness finally arrives, the world will have no other choice but to listen, captivated. Step 4. Observe more, judge less. The silent mind sees everything. The fourth vital step to mastering silence is this: intentionally transform yourself into an astute observer rather than a quick-to-judge critic. When you embrace inner silence, you begin to perceive nuances and details that others, caught in the incessant chatter of their own minds, simply miss. People who talk excessively often overlook crucial details. Conversely, those who cultivate quietude notice everything. The next time you enter a room, resist the immediate urge to speak. Instead, pause. Watch. Listen intently. You'll soon begin to discern subtle cues. Who might be trying to deceive? Who appears genuinely nervous? Who is putting on a facade? Who exudes authentic confidence? And who, beneath their outward composure, might be secretly hurting? This heightened perception is a direct result of silence sharpening your senses, making you incredibly perceptive. Let me provide you with another powerful example. There once was a quiet, often underestimated woman named Angela Merkel. She didn't hail from a background of fame or privilege. She wasn't flashy or ostentatious. She never resorted to raising her voice in heated debates. She never attempted to dominate rooms with bombastic words or loud proclamations. Yet slowly, silently, and with an unwavering commitment to deep observation, she steadily ascended through the complex ranks of German politics, one meticulously considered decision at a time. In rooms filled with powerful men often shouting over each other, Angela would sit calm, still, and intensely focused. While others scrambled to speak, she patiently listened. She carefully watched. She quietly waited. And then, when it was finally her turn to speak, the entire room would fall into profound silence. Her presence, her cultivated stillness, had already spoken volumes, far louder than their collective noise. She didn't merely lead Germany, she became its chancellor for a remarkable 16 years, emerging as the most powerful woman in Europe. She guided her nation through unprecedented crises, economic recessions, mass migration, and myriad global challenges. And what was the secret to her enduring power? It wasn't shouting. It wasn't theatrical showmanship. It wasn't even dazzling speeches. It was stillness, precision, and profound silence. She once articulated her philosophy. Look at the world. Those who shout loudest are not always the most effective. This distinctive quality set her apart. While others sought to control through sheer noise and dominance, she led with an unwavering, quiet strength. She didn't demand power. She became power. That, my friends, is the quintessential art of silence. True leaders never need to raise their voice, because when their serene silence enters a room, every other voice instinctively lowers itself in respect. Silence is far more than just the absence of sound. It is the palpable presence of heightened awareness. The more silent your mind becomes, the sharper your observation grows. You begin to understand what truly motivates people, what deeply scares them, what they might be concealing, and what they genuinely desire. And when you achieve this profound understanding of people, you don't fight them. You skillfully guide them. You effectively lead them. So, cultivate silence as your ultimate superpower. The next time someone shares a story with you, don't merely listen to their spoken words. Watch their eyes intently, feel their energy, pay close attention to their deliberate pauses. Because what often remains unsaid is frequently far more important than what is actually vocalized. This truly is how great leaders are forged, by staying quiet, remaining fully present, and keenly observing what others habitually miss. Step 5. Practice the art of not reacting. Silence is strength, not suppression. The fifth and final step on this journey is arguably the most challenging, yet simultaneously the most profoundly powerful. It is the disciplined art of learning to remain silent even when every fiber of your being aches to respond, even when it truly hurts. This is the essence of mastering the art of not reacting. Many mistakenly perceive silence as a sign of weakness, but true silence, deliberate silence, is the ultimate display of control. When someone unjustly insults you, choose silence. When someone betrays your trust, choose silence. When someone fundamentally misunderstands you, choose silence. You do this not because you are weak, not because you are indifferent, but because you are consciously choosing peace over wounded pride, wisdom over a fragile ego, and personal growth over an impulsive, damaging reaction. Let me share a powerful real-life story from the world of sports. There was once a young tennis player named Naomi Osaka. She swiftly rose to fame for her incredible power and prowess on the court. But beyond her athletic ability, she earned deep respect for her composure and silence off the court. After winning Grand Slams, she didn't boast or gloat. After facing hateful and racist comments, she didn't retaliate with anger or engage in public fights. Instead, she simply kept working, kept improving. And once, when she was directly asked why she didn't respond to the barrage of online hate, her answer was clear and profound. Because I'm not here to fight, I'm here to grow. That precisely is silence. Not a form of suppression, but an immense demonstration of strength. We inhabit a world where everyone seems desperate to reply, to argue, to cancel, to attack. But you choose to remain calm. You choose to walk away from the noise. You consistently continue to build your life, your dreams. And one day, those very people will look at you, successful, happy, and profoundly peaceful, and they will perhaps humbly say, "Maybe I was wrong." You won't even need to utter the words, "I told you so," because your eloquent silence will have already communicated everything. So always remember, your reaction is your most potent power. Do not surrender it cheaply. A majestic lion does not stoop to react to the incessant barking of dogs. Neither should you. Walk away, maintain your silence, rise higher. Now listen very carefully. If there is only one single takeaway you remember from this entire message, let it be this. Silence is not merely the absence of noise. Silence is the profound presence of strength. When you truly master silence, you gain mastery over your own mind, your emotions, your vital energy, and ultimately, your entire life. You won't need to shout to be heard. You won't need to constantly explain yourself to everyone. You won't feel compelled to react to every single challenge or provocation. Because when you are silent, you are inherently calm, you are powerfully effective, you are deeply focused, and you are truly free. The world will undoubtedly try to test you. Some will hurl insults your way. Some will harbor doubts about your capabilities. Some will even attempt to break your spirit. Let them. You, in your wisdom, will simply stay quiet, work diligently, fiercely protect your precious energy, and move forward in purposeful silence. Because the day your success finally speaks for you, the entire world will listen, captivated and without interruption. You don't have to constantly prove your worth to anyone. You are already inherently enough. You are already immensely powerful. You simply need to learn to trust the quiet strength that resides deep within you. So, from this day forward, do not fear silence. Do not actively avoid it. Instead, embrace it wholeheartedly, for it is not merely a skill to be learned. It is your ultimate superpower. And if you found genuine value in this message, if it touched your heart, if it stirred something powerful within your soul, then please consider subscribing to our channel. Because every single day, we don't just teach English. We strive to help you become wiser, stronger, and truly unbreakable. See you in the next video. Until then, stay silent, stay powerful. Your silence is your strength.